4 years, 295 days, and 14 hours. 4 years. I moved to New York about a month and a half ago to pursue my dreams as an artist at the new school. My class of 2028 will be graduating in 4 years. 4 years. Right down the street from my school is an 80-foot clock. It too is counting down 4 years, but for very different reasons. It's counting down 4 years based on our current rate of emissions left in our carbon budget, which keeps us from exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise above pre-industrial levels. We've already been experiencing the devastating impacts of global warming, impacts which intensify with every passing year. In the city, sea levels are on track to rise between half a foot to over a foot in the 2030s and up to 2 feet by the 2050s. Temperatures are estimated to rise between 2 to 4.7 degrees warmer, with heat waves and droughts posing risks of blackouts, power failure, and demand for drinking water. Absurd. I feel we don't talk enough about how absurd our reality is. As humans in this modern age, unless you are completely off the grid, it's almost impossible not to hear about some horror or atrocity going on. We have the entire world at our fingertips, but we also have our own lives, and unless we are willing to be natives for justice, there's a level of desensitization that must occur to keep our sanity. We as individuals didn't create this problem. When you really look at this issue, our daily habits as individuals isn't even a speck of sand at the beach of CO2 emissions and absolute destruction at the hands of the richest 1% who emit more carbon pollution than 2/3 of humanity. In fact, this hyper-focus on the individual is a part of their plan to get attention off the real issue. The concept of individual carbon footprint was the product of an advertisement firm working for BP, one of the largest multinational oil and gas companies. It's genius. How are we ever going to tackle the real issue when we're too busy analyzing our individual carbon footprint? Never mind the 100 companies responsible for 71% of emissions from 1988 to 2015. Even if every single one of us did our part, it would not be anywhere near enough. It's not your neighbor that's responsible for climate change. It's your politicians, governments, and CEOs. People don't deserve to be guilt-tripped for this. We deserve to feel angry because we've been robbed and manipulated by the very individuals who are responsible for this. It's not us. There are people with names behind all of this who are living in luxuries beyond our comprehension at the price of the planet that gives us life. When discussing solutions, we can't solve a problem we don't understand. The situation is absurd on its own, but when we add in the factor that the very existence of climate change is still a mainstream debate, it's clear that awareness is the first step. Gaining class consciousness and never losing hope are the biggest threats to the perpetrators of this crisis. They know our psychology and control the media, which they use to make things look hopeless, distract from the truth, and distort our sense of reality. It's a very successful strategy. Their profits have only continued to grow while we are too overwhelmed by the amount of horrors occurring, barely being paid enough to afford living costs, and fighting with each other over what the truth really is. Because if we knew the truth, it would threaten their profits. But for now, we can settle on fighting over whether we vote for someone who will put a band-aid on the bullet wound versus someone who will shoot another bullet in the existing bullet wound. All that is guaranteed is change. Humans existed a long time before the Industrial Revolution and capitalism, and hopefully we will exist a long time after that. But it all starts with where we direct our energy.